They said Aria Cruz was untouchable. They were wrong. She wasn't made of steel. She was made of fire and glass, something that could burn you and shatter all the same. People only saw the cartel princess, heir to the infamous Cruz family empire, untouchable in a mansion lined with armed guards, Cuban cigars, and dirty secrets. What they didn't see was the scar behind her left shoulder blade, a scar shaped like the end of her childhood. Aria had been 16 the night her mother died. The official story was a rival cartel bombing gone wrong. The truth was worse. Her mother, Luciana Cruz, had discovered what Alonso, her husband, had done to gain control of the cartel. She had threatened to expose him, so he killed her, not directly, that would be inelegant. Instead, he offered her as a sacrifice during a private blood oath, a Santa Muerte ritual to cement a pact with a South American crime sect. Only 4 men were present. One of them whispered the truth to Aria and died weeks later under mysterious conditions. Aria never forgot, she never forgave. From 16 on, Aria played her role, dutiful, educated, sharp-tongued, but loyal. She studied economics in Madrid, politics in Rome. Her father built her up as a diplomatic extension of his empire, and all the while she smiled and waited, because wolves never chase the moon too early. When she turned 26, she made her move. Aria leaked whispers to rival syndicates, created ghost enemies, hacked into her father's financial skeletons, and stirred the waters. By the time he noticed the heat, she had already faked 2 threats on her own life, which brings us to Leo Maddox. Leo wasn't a man, he was a scar with a heartbeat, ex-special forces, burned by betrayal. A man who left military command after watching his entire unit die in a CIA-led operation he'd been ordered to stay silent about. Since then, he'd worked off-grid, taking assignments for those who could afford silence. He didn't talk, didn't drink, didn't smile. When Alonso Cruz offered him 7 figures to protect Aria, Leo only had one question. "Why me?" "Because you're not afraid of powerful women," Alonso replied. Their first meeting was a war. She was barefoot, wearing a blood-red silk robe and a look of pure indifference. "You're late," she said, sipping champagne by the pool. "I wasn't planning on staying," Leo replied. "Then don't." She stood. Walked past him, didn't look back, and he knew right then this wasn't a job. This was a match being struck. He shadowed her for days. She tested him with chaos, disappeared during events, rode motorcycles without helmets, flirted with dangerous men at gala dinners, and he said nothing. He followed, silently, efficiently, until one night she broke. They were in Venice for an art auction. Leo stood guard on the balcony while Aria slipped away with a bottle of whiskey. He found her by the canal, barefoot on the stones, watching the black water. "Why do you care if I live?" she asked without looking at him. "I don't," he said. "I care about finishing what I start." She turned to him, eyes red. Voice softer now. "Did someone start you and leave you unfinished?" That was the moment, not lust, not desire, recognition, wounds seeing wounds. He didn't touch her, not that night, not the one after. But after that moment, something shifted. It took 3 more weeks before she let him in, not into her bed, into her plans. "What if I told you my father murdered my mother?" Leo didn't flinch. "Then I'd ask what you're going to do about it." She told him everything. About the oath, the sacrifice, her plan to take over the empire from within, remove her father, expose his loyalists, dismantle the network he'd built on blood and betrayal. Leo listened. "You want revenge?" "No," she whispered. "I want control. My father made the empire with pain. I'll rule it with precision." "And what do you want from me?" She looked at him then, no mask, no seduction, just raw, brutal honesty. "To stay. After you find out who I really am." They never said, "I love you." Not then. Instead, they worked together. Leo helped her identify which men were loyal to her father. He exposed encrypted offshore accounts. Guarded her when she faked her own kidnapping to flush out her father's spies. He took a bullet for her outside Bogotá. She stitched him up in silence. That night, she kissed his bandaged chest and said, "You don't belong to this world." "Neither do you," he replied. But they both stayed. When the final day came, when Alonso was confronted in his own home, Leo stood behind Aria as she held the gun. "You killed my mother," she said. "She was weak," her father replied. And you've always been too much like her. Exactly, Aria whispered and pulled the trigger. Leo didn't stop her. The cartel did not collapse, it reformed. Under her, she cleaned out the corrupt deals, erased the ritualistic murders. Rebuilt it as a money-laundering empire with legitimate fronts. She wore black suits and wine lipstick. He wore a shoulder holster in silence. They never married, there were no vows, no white dress. But one night in a Havana safe house, Leo whispered, "If I ever disappear, you'll know I didn't run." She asked, "Then what?" He pressed her hand to his chest. "Then someone finally got close enough to break me." She smiled through her tears. "Too late, I already did." 2 years later, they sat on a balcony in the south of France, overlooking olive fields. She wore linen, no heels, no guns. He read a book, something in Spanish she didn't expect him to understand. "Ever think we're just sinners who found each other too late?" she asked. Leo looked at her, quiet for a long moment. "No," he said, "I think the fire found the one person who didn't try to put it out." She leaned into him. And for once there was no threat, no lies, no blood, just the sound of wind in the vines. And two broken people whole only when together. When asked if they're married, Aria smirks. "No, he doesn't believe in promises." Leo shrugs. "I believe in her."
Leo Madox Leo was just 9 years old the night his little brother died. The house fire started while they were playing in the basement. A retaliation hit on their father, a mid-level arms dealer in South Side Chicago. The smoke came fast. Leo had wrapped his arms around Noah under the bed, whispering, "Don't move, I've got you." But fire doesn't wait, and 9-year-olds can't protect anyone. When firefighters pulled Leo out, Noah was already gone. He never forgot the silence that followed his brother's last scream. He never forgave his father or himself for living. Their father cleaned up the mess, paid off the silence, and buried the truth beneath cash and ash. But Leo never healed. He just got sharper. He joined the military at 18, not to serve a country, to punish himself. Leo became the soldier who didn't flinch, a weapon that never asked questions. He rose through black ops, the silent one, the efficient one, the one they sent to do the work no one else would. Until Operation Blacklight in Syria. It wasn't an ambush that killed his team, it was a U.S. drone strike, ordered to erase a covert mission that never should have happened. 9 of his brothers died. Leo survived because he disobeyed. When he tried to speak out, they labeled him unstable, scrubbed the mission, and dumped him from the service. He lost everything again. He disappeared, lived off-grid, took silent contracts across continents. He didn't believe in anything anymore, not governments, not justice, not loyalty, and definitely not love. Until a cartel boss offered him a contract he didn't want. Protect Aria Cruz, the daughter of the infamous Alonso Cruz. Leo almost declined, until he saw her photograph. The eyes. There was a darkness in them that didn't look foreign. Aria wasn't a damsel. She was danger in silk, cold, calculating, defiant. She greeted Leo barefoot in a scarlet robe, sipping wine like the world owed her obedience. "You're late," she said. "Didn't realize you were dying today," he answered. It started like that, tension, walls, a war of silence and glances. He followed. She tested, but he never broke, until she did. She disappeared one night in Venice. He found her by a canal, barefoot, whiskey in hand, tears in her eyes. "Why do you care if I live?" she asked. "I don't. I care about finishing my job." "Did someone ever start you and leave you unfinished?" She saw him then. Not as a guard, not as a killer, but as a boy who once couldn't save his brother. It started slowly, not with kisses, with silence, with honesty. They sat on rooftops trading stories. She told him about her mother's death, a murder disguised as sacrifice, orchestrated by her father to gain control of the empire. He told her about the fire, the drone strike, the betrayal, and when she said, "You think love gets people killed?" he answered, "I know it does," and she whispered, "Then don't call it that. They didn't fall in love, they chose each other over fear, over trauma, over blood." When Aria asked for help taking down her father, Leo didn't hesitate. You helped silence my past, she told him. Help me rewrite my future. He trained her guards, uncovered her father's offshore blood accounts. Even took a bullet meant for her just beneath the rib. She stitched him up in silence. You always this calm after getting shot, she asked. Not when the shooter matters, he said. Alonso Cruz died in his office with Aria's gun in his face and Leo standing behind her. You killed my mother, she said, and you killed whatever good might have been in me. She pulled the trigger. Leo didn't stop her. They didn't take over the cartel, they reshaped it. No blood pacts, no shrines, just numbers, silence, and power built on precision. She wore black suits. He taught strategy and defense. And when governments came sniffing, Leo didn't run. He went on camera, named names, exposed Operation Blacklight, told the world what the government tried to bury. 2 years later, they sit side by side at a UN arbitration tribunal. Aria exposes illicit financial trails that trace back to the world's elite. Leo holds her hand as she speaks. When asked if they're married, she smirks. No, he doesn't believe in promises, he replies. I believe in her. They don't wear rings, but they share scars and survival. He was a boy who lost everything in fire. She was a girl who had to become flame just to survive. Together, they didn't just fall in love. They burned everything down and built something real from the ashes.